We're making a documentary about drumming in Minneapolis. Can you tell me what the drum means to you?
Drumming to me is like kind of mainly it starts when your heart starts to beat, and that means like conception. And the music is it's the rhythm of life, the sound. Drumming is that's the way I see it. It's kind of keep up with the biorhythm of life.
Through my knowledge of what I've learned in my mentors, and I'm still a student of drums. I don't pretend to be a master drummer, because that would be pretentious. I know maybe this much about drumming. It's been around for 1,000 years. But in all that I've learned from my mentors, I've learned what I want out of a drum, so I make them, and I teach. And as I teach, I learn. I like to show the children a little bit of their past and to be proud of that, to take that with their eye on the future. And I believe also education and cultural enlightenment go hand in hand. So that's very important that they keep up their math and their sciences, because drums are a science of math, which is counting and dissecting and adding and subtracting beats. And we approach it in that concept.
In West Africa, the drum is used in the same way as in European societies you would use a piano or guitar. The drum is used in accompanying songs, it is used in accompanying dances, it is used in all situations. We use the drum for everything. So the drum is the most important instrument. We have orchestras, large orchestras of drums, and so on. In European music, drums have never been important. If you hear an orchestra, drums are used for effect. You know, occasionally you hear a little roll by, a snare or, a big hit on the timpani. If there is one area in Western music that the drum is important, then it's in military music, military, where they have, the marching band and they use, this. But otherwise, in the music culture of Europeans, the drum has never been important. But if you listen to black music, which, later on has developed into, all the contemporary music, that popular music has come out of the black experience, you see that the drum is very important. So even though they don't have African drums, they continue using the drum.
Through the years, instruments have been amplified and stuff like that. This is one of the first instruments that ever came in this land. It's one, and it's been put aside through the years. It's just been put aside, and we just want to keep it alive. Rhythms like Wawanko and stuff like that are from Cuba and stuff like that. Dembembe and what else? Rumba Colombia are rhythms. Well, should we say like from Africa?
Yeah, where you go?
Yeah, the rhythms that were played in Africa many years ago. And we just keep them alive,
Drums were taken out of the everyday life of the Africans when they were brought here as slaves. And that was because so that they could not communicate, and of course to oppress them. When it's just like if I was to I do workshops in the school system, and the first thing I tell the kids, well, what if I sent you home and I said you can't speak English anymore, and you can't listen to your music, and no MTV, you can't not turn on the television. This will bring on a certain amount of shock to them. I could make them very docile to what I wanted to impress on their lives and in their minds. And to hold people captive, this is what slave masters felt they had to do, take their drums away. So they were forbidden to play their music because it attaches them to their culture, okay, which gave them a sense of pride and a sense of dignity. So if you want to strip a person of his pride and his dignity, you take his culture and his music. The way in Cuba, when slaves were brought there, they were able to counteract that was developing the box drum, which was the cajon, which is also found in West Africa, the box drum, because the people controlling the slaves, well, they were only boxes, but the boxes had tones and pitches similar to the congas and the drums of Africa. My earliest recollections of what drums, how it was, is I know it's healthy for me. I know it's healthy for my heart and my pulse when I'm playing and drumming at a certain amount of beats per minute. I know it's healthy for my brain because I get that glow, and I release a lot of endorphins that heal my body. And I know it's one of the healthiest forms of exercise that I've ever done. I believe I tell a lot of my students and fellow musicians who come to preferable percussions here to study this art form with me, that I play like a guy from the Bronx. My influences are African and Cuban and possibly Brazilian influences, but I play like a person. I'm a product of my environment. So I play like a guy from New York, a guy from the Bronx, as would someone from the Midwest here studying other rhythms. And I incorporate the sounds and the rhythms of the culture I grew up in into the music that I enjoy and play.
Why is the drum so important? Because, well, there's many reasons why it's really important. For one thing, the drum is used, smaller drums, hand drums are used at nighttime, put the little ones to sleep. The old people used to do that. Instead of listening to a radio, they'd listen to the old people singing. And I've also heard it said that the drum is the heartbeat of the Indian nation.
It's kind of not only the heartbeat for Indian people, but it also has a symbolism that it's also the heartbeat of Mother Earth, and which is also making reference to what Johnny was saying, that as long as the drum continues to play, Indian people and their culture will stay alive, because Mother Earth's heart is still continuing to beat.
They don't learn this in the classroom. They can't learn in the classroom because you can't write it down and sing it. People say you can write Indian music down with notes. Well, if they could, I would like someone to write my song down, put notes to it, and hand it to another person and say, sing this. It would not come out the same.
It's not something where the songs will come to you in a week or maybe even a month. It might take 3 or 4 months, 6 months, a year, and then there'll come a time, I know, like with myself, or maybe after a year or two, these songs will start to stay with you then in your psyche, and you know, I'll be at home or I'll be somewhere, and these songs will just kind of start, they do become a part of you in that sense. But Johnny here is the carrier of the drum and the songs, and culturally speaking, it's his responsibility. It's his responsibility that he's carried with him. It was handed down to him traditionally, and not only is he teaching other youth the songs, but someday he'll ask a young man to continue in his footsteps, and this is how these songs stay in existence for Indian people.
I watch these little ones all the time. If they got it in them, I spot it right away. And if they're going to be singers, or if they're going to be dancers, I say, well, you're a dancer, you dance. And then you singer, you sing. And that's how I work it out.
It's good. Very good. And I love the Indian tacos too. This is an excellent celebration. Very fine.
Yeah, I started singing about when I was 8 years old, about 10 years ago at Hard Year Survival School. When I was about 8, I used to look up to guys who used to sing like the Little Earth Singers and guys like I used to look up to them, and I said I want to be like those guys when I get older. So I started singing, and I took a class at school at the survival school how to sing, and I've been singing ever since. It's a learning process. Like I've been singing 10 years and I'm still learning.
The drum represents to what I learned from the older ones, represents the heartbeat of the world. Like everything has a heartbeat, like the tree has a heartbeat, and even a rock has a heartbeat, and the sky has a heartbeat, and I've heard that even the universe pulses, and our heart, it has a heartbeat. And then that drum represents that. When you dance to that, you could feel everything. You could feel how a tree feels or how another animal feels. And when I dance, if I wanted to get really into it, I could capture a spirit of how a tree feels or how a deer feels or how a horse feels or how the wind feels even.
Basically, it's all the same heartbeat. It's like a heartbeat. You know how your heart beats. It's basically the same way, same principle. My grandpa taught me on the drum. Up on the reservation, but I don't know, when I was a little boy. And then we moved to the cities, and I got out of it for a long time. I started getting into trouble, moved into the inner city and everything, and went to prison and all that. And I got back out, and I kind of felt like something was missing in my life, something real important. So I came back to that drum, and I've been on the drum ever since.
It was my dream, when I came to this country. I'd like to share this tradition, especially with the Korean American. And there was a lot of demand on that, and fortunately I got the class from university, as an extension class, and I got several rainbow of different people. My class is designed to give them an impression or teach them how to express yourself and how to start the journey from inside of you to outside of your physical existence. In other words, I'd like to awake the essence of inner mind, and then let them free to journey wherever they can go, wherever they want to go.
The drumming, it's very invigorating. It's also a form of dance because of the way that you move. The movement form is very specific. It's doing the circle, which is completing the universe with each move, and I liked that idea. What's really neat is that drumming is in every culture, if you go back far enough, and some cultures have kept it going, and others, like the white culture, it seems like it's kind of laid by the wayside and then come back through like jazz and rock and roll, that kind of thing. But it reaches from inside, and I think everyone is attracted to drumming, and it's really nice to be a part of that.
The human being is a part of the universe, right? And our heartbeat is a part of the beat of this universe. And the music is the sound of the universe in our kind of belief system. So drumming is a really good way of communicating with nature. And actually, sometimes you can call the spirit of the heaven by drumming, and sometimes you can call your beloved one who passed away. Sometimes you can call the sound, just, you know. So that's why we call this a sound of the universe. And it's like a journey toward harmony.
Just don't do such wide motions until you're hitting each other. Ready?
Drumming's everywhere. Your heart is the drum you carry with you all the time.
What's the joke, like, what does a band consist of? 3 musicians and a drummer or something like that. You know, drumming is it's a whole different instrument. You're hitting things and you're not really, you know, playing notes, so it's kind of more of a animalistic sort of musical form of expression, I would say. in the point in my life when I joined the Replacements, or when it was the only band I had ever been in. So I mean, as long as I'd been with them from the beginning, I think that was my main instrument growing up was the drums, and I think it's probably the one I can play the best. So I would, bang on desks at schools, and I was always listening to rhythms, and I think maybe my brain sort of worked that way more at that time, and I just stuck with it until I got bored with it. On the rock songs, like a lot of the punk rock stuff that came out really influenced me. I just liked the way in the production of a lot of the punk songs, the drums were mixed way up, and it seemed a lot of it was very fast, and it was based on a lot of drumming. There wasn't a whole lot of melody going on in some of the punk stuff. It was more of an aggression thing, and I think that influenced me. And just the fact that that you heard something that was so raw and thought, hell, I could be in a band now. I guess I still like my drumming style, My most important drum of all the drums is the snare drum, because it's like, you get it's like sort of a machine gun thing where you can get a little da-da in there before a crash or something, and it's the most expressive, I think, of all the drums, for me. I still like drumming.
It's just drumming, it's like, why breathe, why wake up in the morning, why drum? I don't know. It's like, the same reason any animals drum, just to make a rhythmic sound and kind of become, you sort of become one with the whole sound thing that's all around you. As a drummer, I've sort of given up worrying about where I'm going to be during the parade. Somebody usually has an idea for me, and we get the phone call and we get in our section. It's really traditional, so it's something we all know we're going to be doing and everything. People, as long as we're still alive this time of year, people know we're going to show up here and be in the parade. At the May Day thing, it's gotten really pretty intense as far as being a focus of spirituality and community and sweating a lot and all that whole type of thing. Really great, like I want it to be. I feel really euphoric and really happy. It's really exciting. It's really exciting when there's another drummer sitting next to me who I can see is just like, he's really connected to what's going on, and that happens on a regular basis around here these days. Minneapolis is getting a lot more drummers that are really, people are moving here from New York and stuff because they can't handle the pace of the big city, and they come here and they bring all that knowledge with them. goes way beyond a person's culture or their ethnicity or their ancestry or anything like that. It's really basic to the whole human race and all the animals too, and even a lot of the fishes and insects. You know.
Most of the day I just watched and clapped for the people and thought positive thoughts. That's what I do when I come down here. I've never really, I played percussion with the Maroons, which is a reggae group that plays here, but I've never played here. I just come here because it's a great atmosphere. It's great to see all the coalitions and everything working, and it makes you realize that there are a lot of people that believe in this kind of stuff.
Cannot put a border on drumming and say this from this on people they're gonna drum in this country and that's it, and then you pass that borderline and people would be different drumming. It just doesn't make sense because, like I said, it's very internal and it's like the truth. You know, if it's really truth and it comes from the inside, it can be like 10 different truths. It's only one. So the drumming is only like one drumming, and when drummers they get together from Japan or Africa or India or South America and they drum, they speak this language, the drum language.
Sounds good to me.